Yep, it's true. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is the first game that was developed from the ground up to use ray tracing. Not
Who
as
cares?
an option to make the lighting a bit.
Alright, guys. Which one looks better? Be honest. Yes, it seems like the 4090 looks better than a 2060. Maybe. Maybe a little bit better. Yeah. The shadows are cooler. Lighting looks better. All the shadows on the jack and then all of the what's it called? Fucking not cracks. It's not cracks, or you know what I mean. Not ass crack. No, not ass crack. Come on. It looks better. It looks a little bit better.
Everything to max. On the 4090 side, we're still 4K native. We have everything turned
Hold up. That's the 4090, okay.
on except for path tracing. There's still a lot of ray tracing that's happening, like the reflections you can see in the window. Big thing I've noticed is that even in ray trace games, there's still just visual anomalies, like his hair kind of changing color. We are consistently above 60 frames a second, which is far above what I expected in this scenario.
But there is one thing NVIDIA really bunged up, and that's the messaging. We call RTX ray tracing, but in truth, most games, even this one, only switch to global ray traced illumination if you turn on path tracing.
I'm very impressed with the 4090's ability to do over 60 frames a second, and I've had to verify the settings many, many times.
But is it just me, or is it like every time they move, it just becomes blurry? I hate that. Do they have bloom on?
Sure that I'm not secretly using DLSS. But that's going to tell you nothing about how the starter point for ray tracing is going to do, the 2060. And immediately you'll notice that the
I hate
2060
that.
has a bit of
18.
challenge giving us the performance we'd like to see.
Jesus.
So why don't we turn down some settings?
What is going on? Bro, what is this? Ray tracing experience, but it looks awful? Why bother? Nah, I guarantee it. If you turn off ray tracing and just increase the resolution, it's gonna look much better.
Path tracing, often used interchangeably with the term ray tracing, even though they aren't exactly the same thing, simulates the path of light rays as they travel through a scene.
Got it.
Hitting objects, bouncing, reflecting, refracting, or being absorbed based on a material's properties.
Yeah.
There are numerous methods that impact the accuracy of the simulation. Recursive ray tracing, for instance, has shadow rays that are sent out at each ray intersection point towards light sources. And photon mapping emits light particles from the light sources of a scene in a preliminary rendering
cool.
pass. But the principle of both ray tracing and path tracing remains the same. Simulate light by tracing the paths of rays through a scene. How many rays, you ask? Well, that depends, but the short answer is, if you want to do it right, a lot. And when you do it right,
It 256.
if you want to do it right,
256 rays per pixel. Half a billion rays? That's a lot of rays, man. Can I get a race like that?
a lot. And when you do it right, it offers a big advantage in terms of realism.
Yo,
especially in scenes with dynamic lighting, like open world.
It doesn't necessarily mean that one looks better than the other. It just means that the lighting is correct on one, and on the other is like, eh. Of course, lighting matters a lot. And anyone who likes horror movies probably knows that. Or yeah, games. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna be completely real here. I prefer this one. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I prefer this one. However,
like open
when it
world
switches to night, I do prefer this one. Yeah, I really do. I really do. Much better. However, I would like to see the lighting just reach a little bit further, like here, right? It seems to reach a lot further here. I would like to see that. Otherwise,
day and night
good.
cycles.
As for why we're doing it now, well, it was inevitable. The industry has wanted to for a long time, and for good reasons. Don't take my word for it, or Nvidia's, but Pixar describes it as conceptually and mathematically simple and elegant. That means that not only does ray tracing code take up much less storage than the
I guess it just used trigonometry or something like that. That's quite simple for math standards.
large light maps we need for pre-baked lighting, but no longer making those
You just take a single point and all lines that come from that point are like a triangle, right? Kind of. That's kind of how I see it. But I might be Stupid.
light maps or
Might be
adding
stupid,
extra
might
lights
be a
to
dum-dum.
simulate indirect lighting should both save developers time and, in result, make for prettier games. That was one of the key sales pitches for ray tracing, that the reduction in man hours.
But what if the games are just absolute garbage without it? Like, and we all know this. Let's take me for an example, because I'm here and I'm reacting to the video. Okay, so I got a mid-tier PC, right? Got a mid-tier PC, so ray tracing is really out of reach for me, especially with the newest games, right? So if I play those games, they're just gonna look trash, right? They're just gonna look trash. Why do I even bother? My PC can't handle it. It definitely can't handle it if I'm streaming or making content. Yeah, and then it's gonna look bad if I turn it off. Like, yeah, no, I can't play games. What is going on? I can't play new games.
Is that in the context of gaming, the increased hardware cost falls on the gamers, whose GPUs now need to perform those lighting simulations continuously every time they play a game.
Womp womp.
Power bill? What power bill?
And there are other costs. NVIDIA has taken a lot of our money during RTX's awkward adolescence, and maybe more importantly, there's a cost in performance.
Ray tracing on? Really? I mean, sure, I can see that the evaporated water here, whatever it is, the smoke, it looks better here with ray tracing, and like a little bit better colors here than there. You know, a little bit better shadows there. But these shadows are like meh. I mean, I kind of like this one better, to be honest, but I get it. Okay. I mean, these shadows look better than these, the tree. Like, look, RTF off, it looks better. And then there's a sun here, the reflection of the sun. Like, sure, the ray tracing looks better here, but not by a lot. Definitely not. Now the house here, the structure here looks like the lighting looks more realistic. Like here, it looks like it's just been put in there and doesn't belong, right? But there it looks like it actually has some shadows here, and the light doesn't really get all the way to it, but a little bit of it, right? So yeah, I get that. It looks better, but not everything. Definitely not everything.
The most expensive gaming GPU, at least until you can get its replacement over here, is the RTX 4090. It has over 3 times the ray tracing prowess of the underwhelming first generation RTX cards, and still can't consistently render a native 4K 60 path traced experience. Even the newly announced $2,000 RTX 5090
5090, 5 more FPS on a good day.
experience.
5
Even
FPS
the
on a good day. Okay, 6 on a good day. $2,000, please. Give me money. 6 FPS extra, 2K, please. Yeah. Although the DLSS 4 art ray tracing thing is actually incredibly impressive. I get it. Wowie wawa. Very nice. But I mean, yes, it looks a lot better, but is it worth 2K? I don't know, man. I don't know. Now, of course, we're comparing 5090 to 5090 without DLSS, DLLA. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, is it worth it? 6 FPS? I don't know.
newly announced $2,000 RTX 5090 is advertised to only hit 28 frames per second
25.
natively
It's going
in
down.
Cyberpunk with
It's going down as soon as he starts walking. What happens when he starts fighting? What happens when he starts fighting? And let me tell you.
experience.
Look at this. Look at
Even
this.
the
Okay, on a good day, 28 FPS, 242. Now watch it drop to 26.
newly announced
242.
$2,000 RTX
238,
5090
233. Look at that.
is advertised to
26. Okay, so you're seeing a drop here from 243 to like 238, 235. It is always going to be like, look at this, almost 9 times the drop. Okay, so once you start fighting in the game and this drops to like 15 FPS, what's going to happen to this one? You can guess. You can guess. I mean, down to 15, how much is that? That's like 40%. So that's going to go down 40%. Yes. That's gonna go down 40%. How much is that? Well, my brain doesn't really work tonight, but it's 24 times 4. You can do the math, maybe. I can't. But it's like 90 FPS down. Like, it's gonna go down to almost 120 FPS. That's your 5090, man.
Only hit 28 frames per second natively in Cyberpunk with all the ray-traced bells and whistles. AI-assisted upscaling with DLSS is meant to make up for that, and if my lovely assistant will move, oh, yeah, you can see clearly it can deliver impressive results. But from talking to one of Plouf's old games industry contacts, gamers aren't the only ones feeling like this transition might have been rushed a little bit. See, the pitch to developers...
I mean, Rust... Was it Rust? I don't know. Maybe it was Rust, but... What the fuck was that sound? But I mean... I don't know. I feel like they should have just made the GPU better. And then the AI, ray tracing, DLSS, whatever the fuck it is, it should have been better. No, I'm sorry. Think. The real power level of the GPU should have been better, on par with AMD. And on top of that, it should have had the AI ray tracing DLSS, right? That would have been incredible. Think about it. It would have been insane. But instead, it's like, meh, it's 5% better than 4090. 5%. Quote me on that. Quote me on that. It is 5% better. Okay, if you're comparing raw power, it is like 5% better than the 4090. How do I know? I checked the numbers, okay? And I saw that it is like at best 6% better. I'm not kidding. Like, yeah. For real.
Including to our contact was, of course, time savings. But the time that they saved from less manual lighting work ended up getting replaced with more time testing and optimizing performance on those underwhelming early generation cards.
Sure.
Optimization that usually resulted in turning down visual settings, which in many...
Now, ray tracing off, ray tracing on. Guys, honestly, guys, I don't like the look of that. I don't. Maybe it's my screen, because my screen is kind of old. But guys, this is looking pretty good, honestly. I don't know. Maybe people think that it looks bad because you can see the God rays from the lamp. I mean, God rays, not really God rays. You know what I mean? The light coming from the lamp. But that is kind of, that is kind of realistic sometimes, Sometimes, okay? Not always, but sometimes, you're in a crowded space here. Kind of get it. Steampunk style. Yeah, you should be able to see the lighting. I think it looks good.
In many cases, left us with image quality that didn't look that much better than traditional rasterization.
As
Right?
Hardware Unboxed pointed out in
I
an
said
excellent
that.
recent deep dive, those compromises caused some glaring issues, such as noise and artifacting. Games like Burnout Paradise, Twilight Princess, and Oblivion come to mind, and just as Bloom and Motion Blur and Depth of Field and other visual tricks went from flashy and new to overused and disgusting to intelligently applied, I think ray tracing will hit those same milestones in due time.
Strangely enough, the strongest use case today for ray tracing, in our opinion, is the dazzling effect it can have when implemented into older titles, either through discrete remasters, custom mods, or RTX Remix. NVIDIA's suite of modding tools designed to make transformative upgrades of old PC games super easy. I recently played through the original Fear with added ray tracing via Reshade, and it was nigh transformative, even though it pushed a 20-year-old game back to sub 60 FPS performance. Part of that performance hit is the hybrid raster and ray trace rendering. Committing to full ray tracing can actually hit is the hybrid
Why does this
raster
look so
and ray trace
bad?
rendering.
Look at that. Oh, what is going on? Everything's all over the place. It looks so disgusting to look at. What is this?
Committing to full ray tracing can actually improve performance, like we've seen in
what
Metro
the
Exodus
fuck?
Enhanced Edition or Indiana Jones. So once
Oh,
ray tracing
that's
tech has
cool.
evolved to the point where most games fully transition to ray trace rendering, we may experience a bump in overall playability, and maybe, just maybe, GPU makers can reduce the die space used for raster performance in exchange for even more ray tracing prowess, or dare I say, cost savings?
Yeah.
Gosh, that would be real nice.
The
No.
worst part of all this is that until we fully solve the chicken-egg problem, these issues will linger. And
Sure.
the transition is clearly going to take some time.
Yeah.
I mean, nearly 1 in every 30 PC gamers is still running a 1060, for God's sake. That came out in 2016. So
Yeah.
I don't blame you guys for asking. Yeah, it's pretty, but is ray tracing even worth it? Worth it, like our new, more compact commuter backpack at ltcstore.com? Okay, jokes aside, only you can answer that question. But what I can say is that no matter who you are, you've got your head in the sand if you think that ray tracing isn't happening and that you won't need it at some point. I mean,
Right.
I remember back
Okay.
when people thought that fancy mesh shaders
I am incredibly critical of things like these, and I'm just gonna say it. I know I'm stubborn. Sometimes I can just go, I can say like, yeah, I'm not gonna budge, right? This is my opinion, and I hate these kind of things, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he is right. Linus is right. The fact is, as a gamer, I am going to need the ray tracing at some point because it is going in that direction. It's just that at the moment, I don't like ray tracing. However, maybe in the future it'll be great. But I'm gonna have to see that for myself. That's how it works.
were just deployed to sell new graphics cards. But I think in hindsight, most people would agree now that we're better off for their widespread implementation. I mean, Alan Wake 2 looks incredible and runs well on lower end hardware, as long as it's somewhat recent
Let's go.
and has an up-to-date feature set. But these things take time. And I can hear a lot of you saying, well, yeah, sure, it's cool, but I'm gonna wait till it can be done natively with real frames, no AI.
Well,
But I think it's becoming clear that that's not happening. The real solution
he is right. That is probably not going to happen. Like, okay, maybe it will happen. But by the time it gets there, we're going to have video games that are so demanding that that new tech is not going to be able to handle those new titles.
solutions are going to come in the form of optimizations, like improvements to proprietary solutions like DLSS ray
Oh, it
reconstruction,
looks beautiful.
or generalized shortcuts like better distribution ray tracing, sometimes 24 plus hour render times for a single frame. So if you want your game to hit 60 plus frames per second,
Hold up. 60 FPS means one frame equal 0.017 seconds. Which means 5 million times reduction in render time.
you're going to have to accept that some corners are going to be cut
Sure.
to bring the time down 5.2 million times. Really, I don't think the problem is real-time ray tracing itself, or even the AI upscaling techniques, but rather that we've been forced to live through and pay for their infancy. Once we've worked
Right.
through the current
He's
shortcomings,
right.
we could see ray-traced motion blur and depth of field that can push cinematic realism to a whole other level.
Sure.
Or hardware-level support for advanced features like bidirectional path tracing to reduce noise at an equal render time, and maybe even the promise
get
of
there.
easier developer-side implementation actually coming true. So
Definitely.
instead of seeing the new Indiana Jones as the harbinger of GPU pain and suffering,
Oh, it looks so
I'm
good.
choosing to see it kind of like the hint of a whisper of a twinkle of a bright light at the end of a very expensive, albeit beautifully lit tunnel.
Fair.
Speaking of the light, I can see it. No, wait, that's just a segue to our sponsor.
I fucking
Server
knew
part
it.
deals. Enterprise drives can be expensive, and when you're trying to buy multiple
He's
at a
so
time,
good at sponsoring.
that cost, well,
So good.
multiplies. It's a good thing the folks at
He
Server
must be
Part
making
Deals are there
millions
to help. They
with these
sell
sponsors, like,
recertified,
Jesus
refurbished, and
Christ.
even brand new hard
That's
drives,
crazy.
stocking options from go-to brands like Western Digital, Seagate, Toshiba,
Yo,
hard
hold up.
drive.
What is that? HDD. Ooh. Ooh, I might actually buy that. God damn it.
And their customer service is all in-house and reachable via email, live chat, and phone. So don't wait. Head over to
Damn.
serverpartdeals.com/LTT
I can get
today,
$5 off?
and you can get your new drives delivered straight
Okay.
to your door with free 2-day US shipping. And guess what? You can save even more with code LTT5OFF to get
He's lucky. I don't have Honey installed. He's super lucky.
$5 off any order. We'll have all that information down below. If you're still on the fence about ray tracing, you should probably watch the video.
Great video. Great video. I like this video. I want to see the comments because I think the community just knows best. People that sold their kidney in 2020... Okay, I changed my mind. People that sold their kidney in 2022, 2023 for the 3000 series still have a spare. Bruh, okay. Yeah. True. We went from RTX 3090 being tagged as the 8K capable GPU to the 5090 barely managing 4K. Yeah. I use a card that supports ray tracing, but I generally only turn it on to have a look at the graphics for a minute and then turn it off when actually playing anything. At the end of the video, Linus makes a point that to run ray tracing in real time, some corners have to be cut. The corner I choose to cut is ray tracing. True, brother. Amen. A fucking man. Sometimes words don't come out. I'm sorry, guys. RTX mandatory game comes out. I don't play it. Never have I seen an easier solution to this problem. I mean, a lot of people have the same opinion on it, and like I'm there. I'm truly there. I feel like ray tracing is a go big or go home deal. If you aren't doing full path ray tracing, it's just simply not worth it to gamers for the cost of the GPU and performance rate. I agree. I completely agree. Because these titles are optimized for full ray tracing, but if you only have like a little bit, it kind of just looks shit, right? It does. So, Indiana Jones is cock. Cock. Indiana Jones is cock full of ray trace realistic lighting, but the creators of the game couldn't make the museum curator not walk like John Cleese pretending to be a puppet from Thunderbirds.
His ability to do over 6.
Holy shit, man. Fucking hell. It's very annoying that these conversations always end with gamers being told that they need to compromise and use AI to make these solutions work, when it seems pretty clear that large swaths of players, I already know, want to make a compromise of not having ray tracing. That is a compromise. Why does a compromise have to be Vaseline on my screen, ghosting and input latency? Studios can make ray tracing mandatory. Buying those studios' games is entirely optional. Yeah, I'm gonna end it there, but I agree. I'm not gonna be buying the new titles. Like, for real. Like, okay, for an example, I haven't played Black Myth Wukong. It's because I'm a little bit afraid that it's too much for my PC to handle, and I do want to record it, so I don't think it can handle that. Not with decent graphics. So I'd rather just not. Maybe I'll buy it at some point when I upgrade, but for now, I'm not gonna touch new titles. Like, nah. No way. I'm gonna stick to like Palworld and Hearthstone. Card games, great. That's what my PC can do. That's what it can manage. Anyways, guys, what do you think about this? Is this stupid? Am I stupid? Is Linus stupid? Or yeah, what's going on? What's on your mind? If you enjoyed this, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.